This is section 2.3, graphs for quantitative data. Next example, we're going to look at line graphs. These are pretty easy to make. The ones a little more difficult would be the frequency polygon I'm going to do in the next few videos. But all we're doing is placing a dot according to one here, the x-axis. So that's usually the first column is the x-axis, and then one next to it, the frequencies, is always the y-axis. So in order to create that, we're just going to draw this big L shape. Obviously the left side here, representing the y-axis and the x-axis, is the horizontal line. That can be labeled the units. Remember, in this section we're looking at graphs here for quantitative data. So usually in that case here, that this is going to represent some representation of something that's numerical. In this case here, we're looking at 40 mothers who are asked how many times per week their teenager must be reminded to do his or her chores. So the numbers here mount from 0 times, meaning that they just went ahead and did their chores on their own accord, all the way down here with the most response was 5. So when the survey, when the data was collected, we have a bunch of numbers that are discrete here, obviously ranging from 0 to 5. And then here the y-axis, or the frequency, shows how many repeats. So like this one, 3 was the most, therefore 14 occurrences. Therefore we have the most repeats there, the number 3. Nonetheless, coming down here at the bottom, we'll go ahead and label the x-axis here with the units here of times. I guess it should be the number of times. So I'll drop this down below. And then we'll use these numbers here, excuse me, here as just labels like what we do for a bar for ungrouped data. These would go in the center of each bar. In this case, this is going to create a dot. 2, 3, 4, and then 5 times. You can simply evenly space this out. In a way, it wouldn't really matter, it just looks good if it's nice, evenly spaced out here. Do as best as I can. Okay, that looks relatively good. Alright, now what we're going to do is make the adjustment for the y-axis, and remembering for 3 times, excuse me, that was at 14. So what you could do is count by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I don't really like my scale here, so I'll adjust this out. Move this up just a bit here. But however you want to do it, if you want to count by 5s, you're going to want to make sure that your scale is pretty even. Just evenly spaced here, so I'm trying to acquire the whole y-axis that I drew rather than starting over. Okay, that almost looks pretty good there. And maybe too often than not, I see students in a hurry that they want to just get this out of the way, but which is fine. You just need to make sure it's evenly spaced there. So let me go ahead. I've got a little smudge here on my iPad. Go ahead and zoom in here. 8, 10. Again here, counting by 2s up till we get to number 14. Okay, so that'll do it for my scale. Generally understood for the y-axis, that's the frequency. So not major importance here, but I'm just going to grab a dot for each one of these. Now for 0 times, they didn't have to be told at all to do their chores. We have the occurrence there would be 2. So quite easily just put a dot there. It's probably too big of a dot, but let me just shorten it up a little bit. There's a dot there for 2, and obviously it matches up with a 2 on the y-axis and center there about that 0. Next dot is for 1 occurrence, or sorry, 1 time reminded. That frequency was 5. So 5 reported that they had to be told once. Pretty good. 2 here for 2 times for the frequency of 8. The peak here at 14 for 3. So nice steep incline there. And then we keep going here for 7, 4 times. and I believe that that's a little bit above the 8. So I believe it's a little, let me just raise it up a little bit there, make sure that's nice and even there. So I'm going to try to squeeze that between the 6 and the 8 there. That's good. And the next one is at 4. So nice even numbers there, pretty easy. So now all I got to do is connect the dots together. That reminds you of Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure. Please like the video. It was a old movie, I believe 1984, Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure. Connecting the dots together. And there we go. That's all you have to do, is just connect the dots, and nothing other special than that. One thing to point out, this is certainly a lot less time consuming than to make a histogram. I'm not trying to downplay the histogram, but easily what you can see here is probably the shape of the distribution, and that's what's in key here. So it didn't take long to make. These sort of line graphs are very popular to make in Excel, and again it gives you a quick shape here and distribution shape. So we'll get into those distribution shapes in later sections in 2.4 and 2.5, but basically when I think about a shape, that only pertains to this section on quantitative data, not so much for qualitative data. Okay, so that'll do that for this example here in section 2.3 on discussing how to create a line graph.